Hello humans, I am the Black Cat and welcome to Movie Review Monday. This week we take a look at the 2013 Hong Kong film Tales from the Dark Part 1. Tales from the Dark is an anthology film. Basically, an anthology film is a collection of short stories with a running theme. The theme for these stories is they're all ghost stories. Each story comes from short stories by Hong Kong horror writer Lillian Lee. Stolen Goods is about a man who rents a small room known as a coffin room. He doesn't have a lot of money, but he can see and hear ghosts. Ghosts would wander around looking for shelter. There is a little girl ghost that stays with him in his room. Did he grant her shelter, or was she connected to him in some way? It's not really explained. But at night, ghosts will bang on his door begging for shelter. Because of this, he has trouble sleeping, with the result that he has trouble keeping a job. He loses one job because he's late, but he does get another job in a small restaurant, but the owner sees him talking to a ghost, and there's something weird with his leg that I don't really understand, so she fires him. Now with no job and little money, he's in danger of losing his tiny coffin room. Basically, he can't provide shelter for the ghosts unless he has a job to pay rent, but he can't keep a job because of the ghosts. So he decides to try a different tactic. He gets the idea that he can steal urns and get money from the family members to return them, holding them for ransom basically. I mean, kinda makes sense. The dead cause his problems, so he uses the dead to solve his problems. Probably could have done it in a better way, but there you go. There is a bit of a twist, but I don't want to give that away. I do kind of feel sorry for him. I mean, he was just trying to find a solution to his problems. He did try to work, but it never seemed to work out, so he was kind of backed into a corner. One aspect I didn't understand was the little girl ghost. At first she's running in the streets looking for a safe place, it seems, but then there's a little girl in the man's room, and he's talking about providing her shelter. I assumed they were the same girl, but then at the end the two girls were together and apparently they're sisters. It was never really explained. There's also the owner of the restaurant that notices him talking to ghosts, was also with them and another ghost throughout the story. So was she also a ghost? Was she like the main character and could communicate with them? I don't know. Maybe I'm not smart enough to get it. I did like the story. It was an interesting take on the I see ghosts trope. The ending was just kind of sad though. A Word in the Palm follows a fortune teller who also sees ghosts. His wife didn't like it and she left him, and this story picks up when he and his wife are discussing the idea of maybe trying again. He tells her that he has decided to retire from his fortune teller shop, thinking if he does that he won't encounter ghosts as much. So he decided to close the shop and his wife agreed for them to try again. However, he encounters a ghost while he and his wife are talking. He tries to ignore it because he knows his wife doesn't like it and he wants to retire. As he's finishing up his last day, a married couple comes in. The wife is pregnant and tells him that she's been having strange things happen around her lately. He notices a smell of salt water when they walked in, and she says that she also has been smelling salt water. The husband mentioned that he's a swim coach at the local high school. The fortune teller realizes that their job would take more time, but this is his last day, so he refers them to his shop neighbor, a lady with a crystal shop who also has an interest in seeing and working with ghosts. When he returns to his shop, a young girl in a school uniform is there. He notices that she was the ghost that he saw with his wife, so he tries to ask her some questions. She mentions that she's on the swim team at school and that she has a boyfriend, and he notices that she's holding her left hand in a fist, and even though he tries to get her to open it with the idea of reading her palm, she refuses. At this stage, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what happened, even though it contains some heavy subject matter. A Word in the Palm delivered it with a much more light-hearted feel, even ending with a Looney Tunes-esque transition. I rather enjoyed the pairing of the older, more traditional fortune teller and the more new age woman. I think this one would make for a good TV show with these two characters. Overall, the story was entertaining, interesting, and enjoyable. Jingzi is the name of the third story, but also refers to a time in traditional Chinese calendars. For our main character, it's the most important time of the year because it becomes her busiest. Chu is what is known as a villain hitter, a person who is able to place curses on people. So Chu sets up shop in the street with several other villain hitters, so people pay her to put a curse on the person's perceived enemies by hitting a paper effigy. As the night is winding down and she's preparing to close up, a mysterious girl sits and waits her turn. Chu tells the girl she's tired, but the girl says that she'll be her last customer. Chu notices that the girl is only wearing one shoe, and she realizes that this girl is a ghost. So she agrees. As the ritual begins, Chu gets more and more nervous. She grabs a shoe from a bag and hands it to the girl. We see that it has blood on it, so it's the ghost girl's shoe. Chu tells the girl to move on and reincarnate, but the girl just takes the shoe and continues to hit the papers. It's soon revealed why Chu has the ghost girl's shoe. Basically, she witnessed the girl being kidnapped. Later, she's questioned by the police, but doesn't tell them what she saw. Why did she not mention seeing the girl be taken? Why did she keep and hide the shoe? All of it is revealed through the story, but I don't want to give the ending away, so you will just have to watch it and find out. Again, I really enjoyed this story. It's interesting. It had a mystery that unfolded over the course of the story. The visual effects were a little off. The practical effects were pretty good, but there was an obvious green screen shot that was not done very well. But overall, it was a good watch. I find the villain hitters very interesting. I like the idea that the ghost would go to this villain hitter specifically to get revenge, but that was the last story. Overall, I found Tales from the Dark very interesting. It was entertaining. I appreciate that they put a lighter story in the middle, because when you have stories about ghosts in this way, inevitably there's going to be some sad, like I said, very heavy subjects. So I thought it was a good idea to put a lighter story in the middle, even though the girl's story was sad with very serious topics. The way it was handled I thought was good. So yeah, I think Tales from the Dark Part 1 was pretty good, and you should check it out if you haven't. Anyway, that's all the time I have for this movie review. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!